In this problem, I'm going to show you an alternative way of finding the limiting reagent and to go about answering the question. We want to find out how much sodium chloride will be produced. Again, I can only make salt as long as I have sodium and chlorine. So we do need to find the limiting reagent. So let's start with our equation. Sodium reacts with chlorine, which I know is diatomic, to produce sodium chloride. When I cross my charges, I know it's written correctly as NaCl. The equation isn't balanced, so we need to do that. That gives me 2 chlorines on both sides, and now we have 2 sodiums on both sides. An alternative way of finding the limiting reagent is to take each of the substances and solve for the same amount of product. And whichever product is the smallest one, that will tell you what the limiting reagent is, because that one limited how much product you could get. So this involves doing 2 things: changing the 12 grams of sodium into the product, which would be grams of NaCl, as well as changing the 25 grams of chlorine into the product, which is grams of NaCl. So it's twice as much work if you have to just find the limiting reagent, but in this case I need to find the product as well, so it would have about been the same amount of time. So these are 2 mass-to-mass problems. First step is to change my sodium, which is 23 grams of Na for every 1 mole of Na. Second step is the mole ratio, and moles of Na on the bottom, I'm turning that into moles of NaCl, and from my equation there's a 2 salt for every 2 sodium ratio, and then change my moles of NaCl into grams of NaCl, and if we add the 23 for the sodium to the 35.5 for the chlorine, we get 58.5. Notice all of these units cancel out if I did it correctly. Multiplying all that together will give me, let's see, 12 divided by 23. Looks like my 2's cancel out also. So times 58.5, 30.5. So what that means, if I have 12 grams of sodium and plenty of chlorine, I can make 30.5 grams of salt. Let's see how much I can make with the given chlorine. Same thing. Change my grams of chlorine into moles. Well, we know there's 71 grams of chlorine for every 1 mole. Then I do my mole to mole ratio, change my chlorine into what I'm looking for, NaCl, and there's 2 NaCl's for every 1 Cl2. Then change my NaCl into grams of NaCl, and we figured out up in the previous one that that molar mass is 58.5. These units are all canceling out, so I must have done it right. And now I just want to multiply 25 divided by 71 times 2 times 58.5, and that would give me 41.2. So what that means is if I have 25 grams of chlorine and plenty of sodium, I can make 41.2 grams. Well, the limiting reagent is the substance that limits how much product is made. So the one that limited my production of sodium chloride was the sodium. So that would be my limiting reagent because it produced the fewest amount of product. And to answer the question, how much sodium chloride was produced, that would simply be this, 30.5 grams. If I asked you how much chlorine reacted, I know I have plenty of chlorine. I didn't run out of it. How much reacted? Well, in this problem, since it's a combination, I can do it pretty simply. I had a total of 30.5 grams of product, and all 12 grams of the sodium reacted, which means how much chlorine must there have been? Well, the difference, which is 18.5 grams. 18.5 plus 12 adds up to 30.5. So that's the amount of chlorine that reacted. I had 25, so obviously I had plenty of chlorine.